first man we found didn't have a face. It wasn't torn off or eaten. There was just nothing where his face used to be. It was like something stole it off his head. We weren't supposed to be there. Our unit got reassigned overnight. There was no explanation and no briefing. It was just orders to move into a section of trench that previous regiment had abandoned. That shouldn't have been the first warning. War doesn't leave empty ground behind. It fills it with bodies, or something worse. The trench fell off the moment we stepped into it. There were no distant gunfire or artillery, and the wind had gone silent. The mud was thick and black, and it clung to our boots like it didn't want to let go. Private Ellis was the first to notice the smell. Something died here, he said. He was wrong, because death smells rotten. This smelled fresh. It smelled like blood that hadn't dried yet, and we found the first body 20 minutes later. The face was down in the trench, with his uniform still intact. There was no signs of struggle, and I rolled him over and jumped back out of fear, because he had no face. It was like wet clay pressed over where it should have been. His eyes and nose and mouth all gone. But the worst part, his chest was still moving, barely, like something inside him was still trying to breathe, without knowing how. We didn't report it. None of us said a word, because deep down, we all felt it. Whatever did that was still here. That night, we sat watches. No one wanted to sleep anyway. The trench felt alive after dark. You could hear it shifting, like something underneath was dragging itself through the mud. And around 2 a.m., we heard heavy breathing around the trenches. Probably just the wind, someone whispered. But there was no wind. Then Ella screamed, just once, sharp, and cut off instantly. We rushed his position and held his rifle on the ground, still warm. There were drag marks leading over the edge of the trench. We weren't supposed to leave the trench. Those were the orders. But we climbed out anyway. The ground above us was covered in fog. It hugged the earth like it belonged there, and the drag marks didn't stop. They sank into it. One of the guys, Harris, shined his light into the fog. That's when we saw them. Shapes, standing. Dozens of them, just barely visible. Ellis, Harris called out, and one of the shapes quickly moved in response. It moved like it didn't know how. Then the fog shifted, and we saw what they really were. Soldiers, or what used to be soldiers. Their bodies were intact, but their faces, all gone. Their bodies faced us, and at the same time, they inhaled, every single one of them. And the sound, it sounded like the earth itself was breathing. Then Harris dropped his flashlight, and when it hit the ground, everything rushed forward. They weren't running towards us, but they appeared closer and closer after each blink. I don't remember firing my weapon, and I don't remember screaming. I just remember falling back into the trench. When I looked up, the fog was gone. Everyone was gone. There was no bodies. It was just me and the mud. I tried to climb out again. I really did. But something moved between my feet. Then I felt it, not on my skin, inside my head. It was a voice. Not words, just something I understood. You saw us. As my hands started shaking and my vision blurred. Now you stay. I don't know how long I've been down here. Days or weeks. There's no sun and there's no sky. It's just the trench. And the others? I can feel them moving under the mud now. They get closer every night. And sometimes I catch myself holding my breath at the same time they do. And this morning, I touched my face, and for a second, I couldn't feel my mouth. If they come up tonight, I think I'm going to let them take the rest. I didn't survive Vietnam, but my body did. But the part of me that saw them never came back. I wasn't a soldier. Not really. They pulled me straight into R&D and said my brain was worth more than my rifle. I built weapons. Things that just didn't kill people. They erased them. Burned them from the inside out. Turned them into silence. But that wasn't the worst thing I made. The worst thing was something that could see. They called it the Mark 7 spectral lens. Night vision wasn't enough. They wanted more. They wanted to see everything in the jungle. Heat, movement, breath, and fear. So I built it. Layered glass with chemical coatings, frequency filters, things I didn't truly understand, but they worked. We tested it in the field. It was a dense jungle, pitch black. It's the kind of darkness that feels alive. At first, it was perfect. We saw footprints glowing in the faint dirt, heat lingering on leaves, and men hiding in places no human eye could ever catch. We became hunters, gods in the dark. Then one of my men switched to the final filter, the one I never finished. He froze. "Sir," he whispered, "there's something here." I told him to shut it off, told him it was interference, glitching. He didn't listen, and he started turning in circles, slow, shakily. He whispered, "They're everywhere." That's when he lifted off the ground, straight up into the air. Something invisible had grabbed him and pulled him up like he weighed nothing. Then he started screaming, and his body bent the wrong way, arms snapping backward, jaw tearing open, and then he split right in half, like something was eating him mid-air. We couldn't see it until I turned on the lens. I shouldn't have. God, I shouldn't have. The jungle changed. It wasn't empty. It was crowded. Tall and thin shapes everywhere. They weren't hiding. They were just waiting for someone to be able to see them. There were hundreds of them. And when I saw them, they saw me back. One moved fast. It slid through a man beside me, and it took his insides with it. He dropped empty like a shell, and another wrapped around someone's body and squeezed, bones folding, skin stretching. until he just collapsed inward. We opened fire, but it didn't matter. Bullets passed straight through them. But the more we saw them, the closer they got. Like seeing them made them real. One got right in front of me, so close I could see its face. It didn't have one. It was just a stretched shape, trying to look human. It leaned in, as if to study me. Then it whispered, inside my head, "You can see us." And I felt its smile. I ripped the lens off, threw it into the dirt, and they stopped. They didn't chase me, and they didn't touch me again. I ran and left behind everything, and when the helicopter pulled me out, I was alone. It told me I was lucky, said I survived an ambush. I tried to tell them the truth, but they didn't believe me. But they kept the lenses. Of course they did. Weeks later, I heard what they did. They shipped them out and let the enemy find them, use them, and whatever we saw started hunting them. Entire camps just gone, pieces left behind. Eventually the lenses disappeared, buried and lost. That's what they say, anyway. But I know better, 'cause every night, when it gets dark, I can still see them. Not with the lenses, with my own eyes, studying, waiting, watching, like they're hoping I'll look at them again. My grandfather never talked much, except about one thing: Afghanistan. He was a Soviet soldier in the 80s, sent to clear villages after bombings. Places that were supposed to be empty. But there was one village he said he shouldn't have existed. There were no signs of life. He walked through it alone, with the houses intact, doors open, and food still sitting out. Like people vanished mid-meal. No winds, no animals, not even flies. Just silence so thick. He said it felt like someone or something was listening. He found the school near the edge of the village, door hanging open, with the wood rotting, but untouched. That's where it started. In the middle of the classroom, there was a hatch, iron, bolted into the floor. He tried to open it, but it didn't budge. Then he heard it, children whispering, soft at first, like they were calling from far away. Then louder, crying, screaming, begging from underneath the hatch. He called for his partner with no answer, and the voices got louder. Desperate, panicked. So he backed away and ran outside. That's when everything changed. The village was gone, flattened, burned, nothing but rubble. The school, gone, only the doorway still standing, and the voices still coming from inside it. He hid in the debris. Then the hatch opened. He said he never saw what came out, only that the air paralyzed him with fear, like something massive had just stepped into the world. Then his partner found him, dragged him out, and told him he'd been lying in the rubble the whole time. There's no school, no hatch, nothing. but my grandfather knew what he heard, so they searched the area, and they found it. Not a school, just broken concrete, and buried underneath, a hatch. Same one, rusting, half exposed, and next to it, a cassette recorder. His partner pressed play, and the voices started again, children screaming and crying, begging to be let out. But the sound wasn't coming from the tape. It was coming from below. The hatch started shaking, and something underneath was trying to get out. His partner dropped to his knees, started trying to open it, saying, "We have to help them." My grandfather grabbed him and pulled him back. "Those aren't children." The screaming changed. The hatch started to lift as my grandfather slammed it shut and held it down with everything he had. His partner screamed at him and tried to pull him off, but he didn't let go. He said whatever was down there was almost out. Then everything went black, and he woke up alone, back in the rubble, this time with blood covering his legs and something breathing on him. He opened his eyes, and there was a child, or what was left of one, torn apart, and something big walking nearby. Heavy footsteps, each one shaking the ground. He ran, but he said the footsteps followed, perfectly timed with his heartbeat. No matter how fast he moved, it stayed with him, right behind him. He made it back to base, and they told him something impossible. He had gone out alone. There was no partner, and there never was. No one else had been assigned to him, and that village didn't exist on any map. He never spoke about it again until right before he died. His final request was to be buried in Afghanistan, in that region. We honored it, but on the drive back, I saw it, standing in the distance, watching the road, watching me. I crashed trying to look away. Now I'm sitting in my car, hiding, because I can hear it getting closer. And the worst part, I can hear children crying underneath me.